What's up, everybody? This is the Unknown Cameraman.
And I'm the Unknown Camera Woman.
We are back with another video for you. This is part of the Urbex Tips series, and we wanted to bring up respirators and why you should wear a respirator when you go exploring.
A lot of people ask us this question: is it really necessary to protect yourself if you're just going into a building for a little bit? There have been many people saying that they were fine after entering abandoned buildings, they weren't coughing or anything. But unfortunately, some of the symptoms occur much later after you're done exploring.
Up to 20 years, I think, even. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you might feel like you're fine. And, you can say, like, what's the big deal? But it's really long term. You're trying to look out for your health. Is it really worth dealing with all these health problems later in life? I mean, there's veteran explorers that were doing this in the 80s and 90s. Didn't think they needed a mask. They were fine. These are the guys going on exploring forums trying to warn everybody, saying, look, I could have bought a $2 dust mask or a $17 respirator, and it probably would have been enough to protect me. And instead, I'm dealing with, $80,000 in medical bills trying to treat this, health problem that I've gotten from it. So obviously, abandoned buildings are dangerous. There's a good chance that there's been fire damage, the structure could collapse, things could fall on you. There's all types of different animals in there. There's sharp objects, broken glass, loose wiring. If you're in an industrial building, there could be toxic chemicals and all these old drums that people left behind. Today, we're going to basically focus on three of the main things and three things that wearing a respirator would protect you from. And that's asbestos, black mold, and dried bird droppings. Really, I think any animal droppings, but birds especially seem to have a huge health impact on you if you're exposed to it.
To start this off, we're going to be talking about asbestos. It's found in rocks and soil. It was used for a long time by many workers for automotive parts, construction materials, etc., etc. Now, the government has controlled the use of asbestos since the 70s, and it's not mined in this country anymore, but it's still used in items like vinyl floor tile, cement pipes, clothes, brake pads, and obviously if you're going into an abandoned building that's pretty old, you're going to come across it.
And they still use it a lot because in its general form, it's not really threatening to you. It's really the people who would be putting it in or taking it out, shaking it up, breaking it apart, is when the flakes get into the air and you would breathe it in. So as somebody who's exploring, if scrappers had gone through and they tore the ceilings apart, getting whatever kind of wiring or pipe out, now there's asbestos exposed and it's all over the floor. So anytime you're walking, you're constantly kicking it up into the air. And it's the kind of thing, the particles really are so small, you probably won't even see them. But for that reason, because they're so small, they're very easy to breathe in. So they build up in your lungs over time and can lead to cancer, lung cancer, mesothelioma, all kinds of problems. It's really not worth dealing with that. So that's why we're saying, why not wear a respirator? It's not a big deal.
And unfortunately, this is one of the cases where it can take even up to 20 years for your symptoms to show up. So you might feel fine now, but later down the line, that might not be the case.
Start developing, a cough, maybe something simple like that, feeling fatigued. The symptoms kind of, work their way up until it really becomes a problem. It kind of creeps up on you over the years.
So obviously, be aware of what asbestos looks like. It's generally white, almost looks kind of like tape. Be careful not to mess with anything you see like that, especially around pipes. Watch your head to ensure that you're not kicking up a lot of stuff. And obviously, the most important thing to do is protect your mouth and nose so you don't ingest any of the fibers.
Exactly. And obviously, while you're exploring, wearing a mask will prevent you from being exposed to that. But obviously, one step further, when you're done exploring and you go home or when you're getting back into your car, consider having a change of clothes or taking a shower as soon as you get home, do the laundry, whatever it takes. Because even though you didn't breathe it in, it still could have ended up on your clothes. Then it ends up in your car. It could end up on your couch. And then now you've got it in your house. And obviously, it's not large amounts, but it's the kind of thing not going to hit you right away. But again, having this around you and being exposed to it is obviously a big problem.
All right, next up is black mold. If you've ever been in abandoned buildings, I'm sure you've come across all different types of mold. Especially black mold is very toxic. It can cause chronic coughing and sneezing, irritation of the eyes, problems with your nose and throat, rashes, fatigue, headaches. In severe cases of prolonged exposure, black mold can be more dangerous and can cause allergic reactions, nausea, vomiting, and even bleeding in the lungs and nose.
And then the other one, obviously, asbestos. It's part of the building. Black mold, obviously the moisture, it can build up. But there's another big problem in abandoned buildings is just dried animal crap, basically, especially birds. You think of this type of location where, obviously, an abandoned building, if there's an open window, this is a perfect place for birds to nest, hang out. They're gonna crap everywhere. I mean, there's a hospital in New York where one of the floors is. At first, I was like, why is there so much dirt on the floor? It was almost like a foot or so. And then I realized it was all bird crap. The entire floor was covered in bird crap, not just a little dusting. It was actually, you'd have to practically wade through it walking around. So, and that's an extreme case. But in general, there's usually some bird crap lying around. It dries out because it's never cleaned up or anything. The bird crap dries out, and now it's flaky, and if you either the wind blows or you step on it, you kick it up, you're basically breathing in this dried bird crap. And this might even be worse than black mold or asbestos in the short run, because you could actually feel symptoms later that day, the same day. That's how quickly it can affect you. Some of the symptoms would include chills, fever, breathlessness, a cough, discomfort in your chest, weight loss, extreme fatigue, things like that. It's actually caused by scarring on the lungs and reduces the lungs' ability to move air in and out. So you can imagine, if this is untreated, you can imagine how bad this can get.
And ultimately lead to death.
It has at times actually, yes, caused death. So when you look at these things and how damaging they can be to your health, it's just not worth putting yourself in that situation. I know if you go exploring, once a year, you just go one time, or you're gonna go overboard and get a respirator. Obviously, I would recommend it. If you're gonna go a little bit cheaper on it, at least wear a dust mask. Cover your face with something. I wouldn't recommend a bandana as a first priority, but if that's all you have, at least put that on. So nice and short, if I'm going exploring, should I wear a respirator? The answer is yes. Either a respirator or a dust mask. Just cover your face with something. You're in a place where you're going to be breathing all kinds of bad stuff. It's just not worth putting yourself in danger for no reason. And don't take that from us, and we're not just saying this as a hypothetical. I've seen stories from other explorers who have been doing this way longer than we have, and they're out there trying to tell people, like, if there's one thing that I could teach everybody, this is it. Don't be careless. Just do it. It's that simple. So if you have any other questions about safety or respirators in general or anything else we talked about, feel free to leave a comment and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. This is the Unknown Camera Woman.
And the Unknown Cameraman. Don't forget to check out the main channel for all of our full Explore videos at youtube.com/theunknowncameraman. And obviously check out all of the other podcasts and other extra videos on this channel.